have been going through the modeling part intensively from the last few sessions. Let me just run through so that you remember what the topics that we covered. So we started with the structural part of it, where we looked at modeling columns, beams, and slabs. And after which we looked at the architectural layer, and that included curtain wall tool, one of the multifunctional tool that can be used for many different purposes. And after that, we also looked at placing doors and windows to the same walls. And we also explored a little bit more on the curtain wall tool, in which we place doors and windows on the same. We looked at how to go to the edit mode and doing certain changes on the top of that. And we continued with the facade panels. That was the last part of the session. And then after that, we looked at the core part of the Archicad. That included the attributes, which started from the very basic, that is creating a line type, and then looking at pens and pen sets, in which we looked at how to set up the line weight and color for the elements, from which we looked at fills and then surfaces and creating materials, composites, and complex profiles. So these were the major attributes, after which we also looked at the creating layers and assigning layers, and we finalized using the landscape model using a CAD reference. And one more addition that we'll be looking at today is creating a federated model. And this will be kept to the last so that you will understand the basics, and then we can do this particular concept. So for today's session, we will be focusing mainly on the documentation side of it. So documentation, when we look at it, there are many aspects. One of the fundamental part that we do when it comes to architectural workflow is modeling is at one side, but at the end of the day, you should be able to document it in the right way. That is where Archicad comes into picture, and you have a lot of freedom in terms of creating different type of documentation. So we are using one single platform in which we are doing most of the work itself. Now, going forward, we'll start with creating a schedule. So we will not be going in depth of the schedule because there's a lot to cover in that, but we look at the very basics and fundamentals, how schedules can be taken and what is the fundamental concept behind the schedules in Archicad. So far we have been doing the model, and the model included giving proper information with respect to the BIM workflow. And that information was like giving the material, the sizes of these elements, and placing furniture, doors, and windows. So when it comes to creating a schedule, let me just take it out and give it more space for explanation. I hope you can see on the right side. We are still in the project map. Like I mentioned, we are working on the project map almost till the end, and only on today's session we will be looking at further. But later you might be doing a different workflow altogether, where you can work even in the view map or other system directly. Anyway, let's move forward. So below 3Ds, you get the option of opening the schedules. And these schedules are mainly three types. One is an element schedule, another one is a component schedule. Then you also have surface schedule. So these are the three typologies that you usually see. Now, looking at element schedule look at the whole element. So let's say it is a door or a window. It tries to count the element and give you the quantity on the basis of that. Or let's look at the wall as an element. So when we use an element schedule for the walls, it will consider the element as a whole element instead of individual parts. As you know that we already tried using composites. So when it comes to composite, there are multiple layers. So at those kind of specific instances, instead of going for a element schedule, we might be going for the second option, that is a component schedule. So component schedule, unlike the element schedule, we look at element individually, like what material it is made of and each material's quantity. So if you're wondering how to take the quantities of brick or plaster that you're using, or reinforced concrete, we will be going specifically into component schedule and finding the volumetric quantities from there itself. So that is the difference between element schedule and component schedule. Then you have finally surface schedule. So when you look at surface schedule, just like the term represents, it's the whole element surface itself. So if we are creating a model in Archicad, especially in last session, we looked at creating surfaces. So these surfaces are exactly what it is looking at here. So individual surfaces are its quantities. Let's take some of the example. Let's say for your project, you are looking at taking quantities of for the painting purpose where surface area is important. or let's say tile work where the surface area is important. So in those occasions, you will be looking at surface schedule itself. So these are the three typology. One is element schedule, then you have component schedule, then you have surface schedule. So you have to look at what is the output that you're looking for, and from which you need to select the right schedule from there. Now let's go one by one. Let's open the element schedule and start from there. So these are some of the elements that are already built in, or the schedules that are already built in the default template. So let me open the wall schedule. So I'm just doing a double click. Now it is going to open a wall schedule with the default settings. So you can see there are certain fields are already prepared, like for example, element ID. So first session we spoke about it, that is ID of each of the element. Archicad already does it. If you do a copy, even the ID also will be copied, but automatic naming system is already there, and you can also edit it as well. Then you have a 2D plan preview, then what type of wall. As you see, we have used some stud partitions, you have used that external wall type, internal wall type like that, and also height, thickness, area, volume. Now, like I mentioned, element schedule is looking at the whole element instead of individual material. That's why you can see we are focusing on the whole element like this. So the output also will be with respect to that particular element itself. Now, looking at door schedule, it is going to give you specific to door, like the ID of the door and the type and how many numbers have been used. So we have used only one door here in this project. That's why you can see one of them here. Similar way, window also is going to represent in the same manner. But when I go to object inventory, you will be seeing a lot more because we have merged a different file altogether into Archicad that had all the furniture equipments. So that's why you're able to see each of the furnitures that is being used and what is the quantity and then the dimensions of it. You can also add more informations like who is the manufacturer or the link to the particular product, and you can always make the project file intense with all the information. So that is the object inventory. Now looking at the component schedule, if I go for the first one, that is all component schedule, it is going to give you material wise quantities. And these are the titles like ID, name, classification, what's the volume. And if you go further, that is the two volumes are the gross volume and net volume. You can do a lot of reading regarding these things, but briefly giving you the idea, gross volume, look at the whole element. When it comes to net volume, it will also consider the subtractions. Like if you have a wall and then you have placed a window, so you have to cut down that particular volume from there. So that is where the net volume comes into picture. There is also conditional volume, but that is going to mainly look at some additional calculations and then it will remove. But mainly you go for the net volume. And if you want to do a comparison between how much of volume is being detected using these elements, then you can make use of both and then see the differences. So going further, you have surface schedule here where it is looking at the whole finish together. So that is going to give you the surface wise how much of surface area is there for this. I'm using a different template, so let me just open another one. Yeah, here if you see, I'm sorting it through element wise. Like for column, these are the columns and these are the finishes that has been used, and this is the exposed area. So like this, you will be able to quantify these elements. Now, let's say I want to create a new schedule for some specific purpose. So all you have to do is just do a right click, go to new schedule. Now, what you're going to see this dialog box are the settings for these elements. So starting with an ID, just like how we have been doing so far, you can give an ID for your schedule. And that is exactly what you're seeing here. So these are the IDs of that particular schedule. So you can give it a name for your schedule so you can identify these elements easily. So I'm just going to give it a slab schedule for now. Need not to be, but it's up to you how you want to do it. And as you see that it is already coming under element schedule because we have selected element schedule in the type. And here, there are two important things that you need to keep it in mind. One is a criteria and another one is field. So when we look at criteria, it is a criteria of selection. What it does is it will filter through your whole model and select certain elements, and that is what you're going to quantify. So it is really important to understand how this criteria work and what all are the options available to you. For that, you have to do a little bit of practice by going to this option here that's called Add Criteria, and from which you can open up these. So first one, you can see that this is element type. So as the term suggests, it is looking for specific element type. So from the list, you can see I have walls, columns, beams, slab. So I'm looking at slab, so I can select slab here. If you have any other criteria of selection, So sometimes what happens is we may have to take quantities on the basis of some additional criteria. Like I want to take the quantities of all the slabs that are placed in the first floor. So what we do is we need to look at the term that is relating to the floor. So as you know, this is called home story. So we search for that particular criteria. Now you can see that it is under positioning because it's the same term that you see it in the settings of every element. So I hope you remember that. Now, if I see that here, there is an option called home story. I just double click that particular criteria is added. Now I can select which floor I want to look for. So if I want it for level 0, it is going to look for all the slabs that are placed on the level 0. And there are also some additions that you can see. I can put a bracket. So sometimes what happens is we need to go for really detailed schedules or really detailed criteria selection. So at that time, you can use these conditions and do it. But for basic, just for starting, understand the basic things that is required for you to take the quantities like this. And also one more thing that you need to keep it in mind, there is condition called and or. So these two conditions are there. When you go for and, it look at element that satisfy both the conditions. And if you're going for or, it will look for either. So if I go for or in this case, it is going to look for all the elements that are there in the level 0 and the elements that are classified as or that is made of slab tool. So be careful which conditions that you're using. If this is not correct, you are going to have a lot of issues when it comes to taking the quantity. So always read this, understand it, how these things are functioning. Now that is a selection criteria. There are many other criteria that you can look for, like if you want to sort it on the basis of composites, like you want to get the quantities on the basis of only those composite names, so you can go for that. So this is something I'm giving it to you for exploring things because there's a lot to cover in this one. And second part is the field. Now the first part criteria has selected certain elements. Now what field is going to do is from the selected element, which all are the elements that, or which all are the properties that you want to take it out. So that is what the field is. Now if I click on this one, I'm going to get an again similar type of a list but specific to fields. Like for now I have selected slabs. Now I want to know the element ID of the slab. So I can just type and search. So you can see this is the element ID. Now, if I want to know what material is made of, or just type for the material or composite or type. So you can see there are multiple options that you can building from, take it from here. So I'm going to use this building material or composite or profile or fill option. And let's say I want to know the volume. So I'll search for the volume and I'm getting the net volume here. So I'm going for the net volume. And if I give OK, it is going to create a schedule here. It won't open directly. You can just go down here and you will be able to see the slab schedule. So when I open slab schedule, you can see there are two slabs in the project that are satisfying the criteria that we have given. Don't worry about the cluster. You can just click on this particular button. You can see I'm highlighting that. And you can just either type the dimension for the margins and cells, otherwise just do a resize. It will automatically resize to the given dimension. So you can see there are two slabs. One, we have created a composite called a retaining slab. Another one is concrete floor with a bucket. So there are two types, and that's element ID and the volume that you're giving. Now, sometimes what happens is these IDs or the types that you have, it may not give you the right impression of what it is. So you may have to check where it is located or what it is. So you have an option to search through the whole model and find it, but there is an easy method where you select one of them. You have these two options. So one is select on floor plan. Another one is select in 3D. So if I click on select in 3D, it will highlight the element in 3D and showcase it to you where it is located. So it will become easy for you to identify from the schedule, because when you look at the schedule, it's all text. There is no direct connections without creating this. So when you click on that button, it will take you to there and it will give an idea where it is located. And sometimes we need to find the total volume or things like that. So that is where these addition buttons which going to be there for you. So you can click on this one, that is going to open the summation button. So when you activate it, when I give OK, it is going to give you the total volume. There are also a couple of other features here, which I won't be looking at in today's session, but I would like you to go through a reading. All you have to do is just do a right click. It will give an option called what is this. So when you do that, it will take you to the browser and in which it will show it to you with explanation. So there are some homeworks also required for you to learn, but these are the major understanding that you need to have when you're going to work here. So let me get back to Archicad. Let me give OK, and that is our slab schedule. So similar way, you can identify many other things. So let me just get back to one of the existing component schedule. And here you will see scheme setting. So this is the same setting that we saw when we were creating the schedule. So you can access it from here as well. There is also an option here to import and export between projects. So let's say one of the person in the office created a proper settings for the schedule. So you can always steal from them by using these options. So explore it. These are really interesting tool, but make sure your criteria and fields are matching your settings, or if you have added any other additional criteria, make sure they are also reflected the same in both the projects, and you can do that. Now, if I look at this particular schedule, you can see the criteria of selection. It is looking at wall, column, beam, slab, literally almost all the elements. And that is how it is filtered. And also you can see the condition is all or, because there is no element in Archicad that is both door and window or window and skylight. So that is why we are using or condition. So it is looking at all of them together. You can also make it like is not. So it will look at all the elements that are not that particular element, but make sure that the way that you have structured your logic is correct. Now in the field, if you see, it is looking at the ID, then the name. So this is not element ID, this is the ID of the material, which we looked at in the previous session. Then you have a name here, that is a name of the material. And this is Archicad classification, which we spoke about in the first session. You can classify every element in Archicad into something that are related to either Archicad classification, or you can also use IFC classification as well. Now here you have component volume, both gross volume and net volume are here, and projected component area. So this is looking at the area as well. So these are some of the terms. So what I want you to do is just look into the existing schedule, how it has been created, and find out how these terminologies or how these things are functioning in Archicad, which will give you a better understanding of how schedules work. There are also many other things here, like you can merge certain items. If they are of same type, it will try to merge them together. You can use the show headline option to organize it much better. And also you can look at changing the fonts type and size, and even adding a color. So if I want to give a color to this particular cell or the whole stripe, I mean, in terms of alternate ones, you can always go for these options, and it will give you a little bit better type of schedule output. All right, so anybody has any doubt in schedule that is covered so far? All right, so I'll just repeat it again. There are two main aspects when it comes to three main types when it comes to schedule. One is element schedule, component schedule, and surface schedule. Understand how what these three does. Element looks at the element as a whole, and component look at the individual building materials, and surface look at the surface attributes of these elements. So filter it accordingly. And within that, there are two type of settings that you can access in the scheme settings. That is criteria. So criteria is all about filtering the items, and field is to visualize the information about that particular filtered item. So just go through it. This is the basic of it. I would like to explore whatever is there right now. Go through the settings that have been given. All right. So let's go to the presentation. So that's about the schedule part of it. And you, as I mentioned, you can always go through it and edit the existing schedules and make it the way you want it. And all right, so the next part is going to be completely focusing on the documentation aspect of Archicad. So what we were doing so far, I'm going to do a couple of sketches. Make sure you understand this part. If you don't, it is going to be difficult for you to go further. It's very simple. It's just that there is a step-by-step process that we usually follow when it comes to documentation. The first part is already done. That was dealing with the project map. So in project map, we created stories, that is ground floor, first floor, like that. And also we created sections and elevations or details. So all these things comes under project map, including 3D. And that is all one element of a type. Like you have one ground floor plan, one first floor plan, and one section, one elevation. Like when I say one section, one type of section taken at one single location. So these things are of one type. Now, what happens when I have only a ground floor? How do I make architectural drawings, structural drawing, electrical drawings, and all these things for my ground floor? So that is where view map comes into picture. So what happens in view map is you can always make duplicates of the ground floor, but the difference is that the attributes that are related to the view, don't confuse with the element attributes. These are the properties of the view. Like for example, for ground floor, if you remember in the last session, we looked at layer combination. So that was one of the view settings. By changing this particular view setting, you can create architectural, electrical, structural for ground floor. So that is what ViewMap is going to do. You are going to make permutations and combinations of the same ground floor plan using different settings. Similar way, it is going to go for this for first floor as well by changing the layer combination, by changing the partial structure display, where if you remember, we changed core of load bearing only or without finishes or the complete structure altogether. And same thing goes for sections as well. You can also create some kind of differentiation of the same for the different purposes. So that is where view map comes into picture. It will also help you in 3D as well. Don't just confuse that it is only for drawing. It is also for 3D documentation. Let's say you have a project and you want to showcase your model to architect, sorry, not architect, you are already an architect, to a structural engineer, or to show it to an electrical engineer, or to show it to your client. You might be focusing on certain field and you want to show only that. Like your structural engineer might not be interested in the furniture layout, and your interior designer might not be interested in the structural part of it. So you can filter just like how we did in the plan in 3D as well, using this layer combinations and different type of visual settings. And that also can create different 3D view maps. So view maps is going to be the fundamental, and that is created from the project map itself by changing layer combinations or any other view settings, including scale. Now, going further, from view map, you are going to create layouts. So layouts in Archicad is actually sheets. So we call it layout here, and that can be multiple sheets that is going to contain all the view maps or individual view maps or combinations of multiple view maps. So let's say you have an architectural drawing for ground floor, first floor, second floor. So what you're going to do is you are going to make probably multiple layouts, and you are going to place each of them into individual sheet if that is what you want, or two of them together to another sheet if that is what you want. We are going to create layouts for that. And to the layout, we will place a view map. We are not going to place a project map, we place a view map because that is what the foundation for the drawings. Now, you might be wondering where to do the sheet size, where to set up the template and title block. So that is where master layout comes into picture. So layout consists of two things. One is the layout itself, those are the sheets, and then you have a master layout. And these master layouts are different title blocks of sheets. Like you can create an A2 size sheet for landscape and portrait, A4 size sheet, A0 size sheet. So if you're working in an office, you may have a certain template, and that is also with respect to the sheet that you're going to use. So you can prepare these as a master layout, and you can tell that I want all the architectural drawings to be part of this particular layout or this particular master layout or template. So you can set these things up. So how do we work is we create a layout and we make sure that they are connected to one or the other master layout, and we are going to place it into that. So this is the order in which we work. We create master layouts first, and this is a one-time job. After that, in your office, as I imagine, that you have a certain standard. So you just have to make it once. The template title blocks. After that, all you have to do is create a layout, select which type of master layout that you're using, and then you do a drag and drop. Sheet is going to be placed, and also the content also is going to be filled by itself. Now, finally, from layout, whatever sheets you have created. So now you have so many architectural drawing, you have so many structural drawing, you have sections and elevations and some 3D views. You need to publish them. So when you want to publish them, now that is going to be another topic with respect to how we are going to do a publish. Certain times we may publish drawings on the basis of stages of a project. Like let's say you are starting a project, you are at a concept stage. You do certain drawings and 3D views, and now you want to give it to your client. So that is one. Now, let's say you are in phase two, you want to give it for approval. So you have certain things that are already prepared for that. Now, phase three, you might be giving your client, or let's say somebody who is on the site for construction. Now that is a different set of drawings altogether. So that is where publisher set comes into picture. So you can create on different logic. It need not to be phases of a project. It can also be it can also depend on different stakeholders of the project. Like architects might be giving a certain amount of drawings to engineers, and you might not be giving certain drawings to your site. So you might be filtering this type of layouts. So that is where the publisher set comes into picture. You can filter out and create the way you want it. And into each publisher set, we are going to add the drawings accordingly. You can also do certain preset for the same, so that once you start the modeling, automatically all these things can be done. So it's all about setting things up. So you, before you create a template, you will look at, okay, the electrical drawing is going to have this particular layer combination, this particular pen set, this particular partial structure display. So we set up these things beforehand when we set up the template. Then we put it into the right sheet with the right name, and then they will also be part of certain number of publisher set. Now that is how we do the automation in Archicad. Now I'm going to show you whatever I have explained here in the software, then you will get a better understanding. Only thing is, understand this concept. We go step by step, starting with the project map, which we already did it. Now we are going to the view map, then we will go to layout. Now in layout, we will set up the master layout first, then we place the sheet. And after that, we will create the publisher set. So this is the order of documentation, how we are going to do it. Now let's get to Archicad. Now, if you have any doubt, make sure to be attentive when I'm going to explain it in Archicad, and you can ask the questions if you don't understand anything at that point of time. So let me get to Archicad. I'll go to one of the drawing. So I have level 0 here. So this is what we have been doing so far. That was in the project map. Now we are going to the next step, that is view map. Now if you see view map, everything is colored in blue. And one of the thing like I mentioned, these are all duplicates of the very first one. And these are also part of the template. So because of the template, you can see there is something like floor plan, ceiling plan, structural plan. So there are certain things that are already prepared. What I would suggest is always best to start fresh. So I'll select all these except the first one because it's a project, and I'll do a delete. So I clicked on this button, I do delete all. Remember, don't delete anything from the project map. If you do any delete from the project map, it will be lost. So don't do that. Go to view map. There you can clear it and start fresh. And this will be probably just a one-time work. So we will start from here. We have set up the view map. Next thing that we are going to do is to set up a new view. So there are multiple ways of doing it. I'm going to show you different types so that you will understand these are the ways in which we can easily set things up. I want to create floor plan for this particular one with certain settings. Or let's start with the very basic, that is the schedule itself. So Archicad also allows you to give a little bit of freedom into organizing your views and things. So that is where these settings comes into picture. So first one is to save the current view. That is what we are going to do. And second one is to create or clone a folder. That is an automation process, which I will be showing it to you after this. And the third one is something interesting, that is to create a folder. So you can always arrange things to folder. So I click on the folder first and going to give it a name as schedules. Now this just created a folder. It has no things inside. Now what I want to do is I want to create this particular thing with a certain amount of settings. So all I have to do is make sure I give the correct information here. So if I want to change this or change the title or increase the size of it, whatever I want to do it, I set up all the information here. Once I'm happy with it, I click on this button, that is save current view. Now when I click on it, it will ask me what is the ID we have already given, what is the name, that is all component schedule. So if you want to change it, you can go to custom and then change however you want it. So if I want it just a component schedule, I can change it here. It will not change the project map name. It is going to change only the view map name. Now here, which layer combination? So this also goes under layer combination, but you don't need to worry about it. Scale, that is also something that you can control, especially it is going to affect the text size with respect to the scale here. So you can have a look at it, which scale it is right now here, and you can match it later also. Then which pen set. So depending on the pen set that you're using, this is going to change. So if I want to have color conceptual, I can do that. Now, model view options, we have not covered these things, but model view option look at the element information with respect to the detail. Graphic overhead is also something that is advanced, so we will not go through all these things right now. One of the main thing is dimensioning. Right now it is in plain meter, so I'm going with it and give a create option. So you can see it is created a new view here. So if you want something different, let's say I'm going for the window schedule. So I'll just go for the window schedule here. I did a double click, it opened. Now I'm going to do certain changes by, let's say it's right now like this way, I want to change it in the other direction. So I do a change here. Then I'm going to make sure the sizes of these things are correct. And then you can see that it's also updated. Now, if I go to the settings, I can remove many of these things that are not part of the information that I need. That is going to filter it out. Then I go to the view map, make sure I selected the folder so that it will be creating inside the folder, save the current view, and then I'm going to give it as window schedule, and that is also done. So this is how we create a folder and create a view here. Now, this is a long process as you see, especially let's say I want to create architectural drawing for 3 different floors. I have to keep doing this. So that is where automation comes into picture. So the very next option that we have is called clone a folder. But remember, wherever you click, it is going to build under that. So I'm going to click on the main folder here on the top, that is a BIM training. Click on this button, that is clone a folder. Now it will ask you what you want to clone. So I want to clone the stories. So I select that. Now here I can give it a name and all these things. So probably the name I will change it to architectural, because whatever is going to be under that particular folder will all be architectural drawing. Which layer combination? Architectural, good to go. Which scale I want it, I can change it. So if I want 1:200, I can change it to 1:200. And structure is, I want the complete detail and which pen set I want to use. So I'm going for architectural 100. And if I want to change this, I can change this as well. So I'll not go through this. And which unit you want to work on, that also you can change it here. So when I click on clone, you will see it created a folder called architectural, in which I have level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, like that. It's already set. Now, one more I'm going to make, that is going to be for, let's say, a different type altogether. So I click on this, again, stories, and instead of architectural, I'm going for structural. I will change the name here to structural, because by default, it will take the name of the project map itself. Now, the pen set, so structure display, I'm going for core only option. And pen set here, I'm going to take structural and leave the rest of the things as it is. When I click on it, it created structural one. You can always change it. The text and all these things can give an ID properly. If I open the level 0, you will see the structural view here. So I can now easily jump from the structural view to architectural view from here to here, because it's already duplicated. And if I delete one from here, it will be deleted everywhere. Remember, this is just filtering out the views. So don't consider these as different drawings. They are part of the same drawing. Only thing is visually certain things are not visible. And you can see here, it is already showing only the core part of it. Now, if you want to do any changes, you can do a right click here, go to view settings, and you can change everything together. So instead of core only, if I want core of load bearing, then I give that only the load bearings are visible right now, and that is going to be applied across. So that's how you can create multiple views, and it is pretty fast. If I want to create a section here, same thing. I'm going for a clone a folder option. I'll select sections. You can do whatever settings that you wanted. So if I wanted to go for the architectural, and next one, I'll set up the scale, and then core only. Instead of that, I'm going for entire model. I will use the color conceptual pen set or architectural pen set and rest of the details. Now it is going to create all the sections with whatever detail that I want to add. So you can see that. There are also a lot more settings that you can work with when we are using this particular tool. So for example, if you see this section, that is X3, if I just do a right click and go to section settings, this is just changing for one of the element. What I can do is, one is the general settings, in which I have already given it as 0 depth. So 0 depth is looking only at the cut section, but if I want it infinite, I can go for infinite, where I will see also the section and the elevation together. And for that, you can also go to model appearance and filter out so many things to make the section look better. Like you can see that there are a couple of settings that you can go for. It's mainly in the appearance part of it. One is a cut fill, that is all about wherever the element is getting cut and what fill is being used. Right now it is using a cut fill, existing cut fill means whatever material is assigned to that, its own fill will be used here. And you can also change it, but let's go with that itself. And if I want to make all the pens to be uniform that are getting cut, I can do that, because sometimes when we do certain settings or presentation drawings, we might be looking at similar type of pen types, so that time we can go for this. Then uncut, if I want to change, I can go here. Uncut is all about the elevation part of it. Right now it is using surface, the color fill of it, but not the texture. So I usually go for this texture fill when it comes to making the section looks a little bit better. But sometimes what I do is I'll also go for uniform pen, where all the things that are there in the elevation I don't want to focus on. So you can select accordingly which one you want and experiment with this. You can also go for uniform uncut pens, where whatever is there in the elevation, if I want to use a specific pen, so I can select that. You can also hide or unhide the transparency properties. You can also add a shadow if you want to by giving the angle of the sun, both azimuth and altitude values, and many other settings here that you can edit. One of the things that you need to remember, the story levels of each of the section by default is display only. If you want to see these levels in your drawing, make sure you go for display and output, and then it will be visible in your drawings as well once you are going to print. So make sure you go to story levels and do the setup. And there are many other things I want you to explore. Those are the marker details and everything. These are going to be simple. And you give OK. Now you're going to see the section a little bit different than what you're seeing here. Now you can see the section is showing the cut part and also what is there in the elevation as well. So both the properties are visible. So a lot of things can be done through the sections and tools. And yeah, so that was just one section. If you go to the other section, you can see they are still the same. We changed only one. So that will be affected only there. So what I'm going to do is I also need to create a 3D view. So I'm going to the layer settings. I'm going to make sure that all the layers are turned on. Because beam was not visible, and I'm going to create a layer combination that is called all elements. So now you can see I have a layer combination called all elements, and I'm going to update for all the sections that one, because beam was actually not visible in the section because I did not create a layer combinations for that. So here I'm going to select the all elements option, and now if I look at the building section, I'll also see the beam. So you can see now beam is also visible. So you can always cross-check these things. So that was about the sections. So similar way, whenever you want to do something or create a shortcut would be the fastest way to do things. So I want to do elevations, I want to do detail. Whatever element is there under that, it will all be cloned here with the same properties. So if I want to do 3D, you can see I can select 3D and then do a cloning if I want to. Otherwise, just go for the typical option that what I did. Set the view, set all the settings here, and then probably create a folder for 3D. And I'm going to add this as save current view and name it as, let's say, all elements. And that would be one. Second one, let's say I want to focus on the structural. So I'm just going to go for the structural 3D. And you can see this one is not visible. As you know it, if the property is not there for the load bearing, then it won't be visible. So you have to make sure in the classification properties, this is classified as a load bearing element. Now, when I change it to core of load bearing, you'll be able to see that also. Now I'm going to save this as a new element, going to name it as structural. So we have three 3Ds. Sometimes what we do is when we have the whole element and we want to focus on certain parts, we can also do that. I hope I have taken that during the session. Otherwise, I'll just do that again. Let's say I want to take a detail of the specific area. So you can use the mark tool here, raw box, like this. I'm using the all floor option here. There are two options mainly. One is the single floor and all floor. I want all floor so that top to bottom I get the whole detail. Then I can do a right click and use show element in 3D or show mark in 3D. Now that is going to highlight the whole element from top to bottom. Now I can do certain amount of detail for this as well. Let's say I want to keep this, or even you can make use of the 3D cutaway and use these side options to filter out further. So this is the detail I want to show. So now you can see that only this much is selected. You can save that as also as a new 3D. So probably I'll name it as detail. Sorry. I'm going to come here. I'm going to name it as details. Now, you can see in the same 3D model, I have the whole element, I have the detail section, and I also have the structural 3D view. So three things are already prepared from the same 3D view. So like I mentioned, if you delete something from one of the views, it is going to be deleted from the other ones as well. So that is how it is being structured. Now, next part, like I mentioned, we will go from the project map. Now we are already done with the view map, and the last one is going to be the sorry, last but one that is going to be the layout book. So layout book also, I'm going to do the same thing. First, I'll clear out rest of the drawings. So I do a delete. Now you can see I kept only one because one of the requirement is you need to have at least one sheet, and also I need to have one master layout. So that's why I did that. And like I mentioned, there are two things. One is sheets, or that is a layout, and you have all the master layouts. So master layouts are like the title block which you can create it in the beginning of the session or beginning of your work. So you can see there are a couple of them. There is A4 portrait, A3 landscape, A2 landscape, and A1 landscape. So let me just open A2 landscape, and this is what you're going to see in the default template. So it has something already prepared, that is a sheet size, some template title, and then you have a revision history object. It's an object, and you have a logo here that is added as an image, and you have a couple of text, and you can also see there is something different, that is the symbol behind it. This is actually representing this particular text that is being added is an auto text. So when we look at auto text, what is happening is most of our project, for example, are that whatever we do and then whatever we do the documentation for, what happens is we have to go and change this text every time we do any changes to the drawing. For example, scale. When we do the change in the scale of a sheet, or the drawing that is there, you also have to go and change the title block, and there you have to change the title there, that the scale is changed, or the sheet title, or what drawing is being done. Or let's look at different projects altogether. Every time you have to go and change the information that are related to each of the project. But Archicad has this option, and it's a BIM tool option that is there, that is using this auto text option, which is here. So when I look at this auto text, it is a list of information that you can add. And one of the information is contact company, contact address, contact city. And you can see there is already something that is filled, that is BIM training, because that is what we have given as the project name. Site information we have not given, so that is going to be empty. And drawing name here, that is, you can see that this is without that hash symbol. That means this is a typed text. It's not an auto text, but when you see a hash symbol, it is going to be auto text option. Now let's say I want to add date here. So what you can do is you can just go to the text box. It's as simple as going to the text box, set up where you want the auto text, go to the symbol here, that is the auto text symbol. It's like an @ with the capital A. So you can remember it like that. And from here, you get to see all the list of auto text options that you can bring in. And one of the things that we can do is date itself. So you type date, and you can see we have many options: transmittal date, production date for the object, or warranty end date, or acquisition date. But what we need is a system date, like whatever the date of the computer, that is the date I wanted. So I just do a double click. Let's go for the long one where it is showing 21st July 2025. Let's go for the second one and just type date again. But this time we might be looking for something else. So I just go for short date. So you can see that that is also updated here. I think it's the text is too small. So, oh, this is around 2. Yeah. So you can see that. And you can also do a lot of changes by where it is located, how it is filtered, and all these aspects. You can control it. Now, whatever you are doing here, let's clear it out. Oh, so it's in white color. So let me just change it to black. Yeah, I think it's aligned. So you can see it's already showing today's date. Now, if I'm going to publish this drawing tomorrow, it will show tomorrow's date. So I don't have to go and change the date anymore. So that is how auto text works. So you can go to master layout, create a master layout for your sheets. All you have to do is just to right click, new master layout, give it a name, select the size of the sheet. If you want to add margin, give the margin here. If the sheet is not going to be standard sheet, you can also give the size of the sheet by typing it here. Whether you want portrait or landscape, you can set it there. And there are also some other things. Right now, it is going to use the auto arrange option, which is good enough. Otherwise, you can also set up a grid and make sure these informations are arranged. Like when you are going to draft multiple drawings into the same sheet, you may want to arrange these things separately. So you can go for any of these options altogether. Then you also have this option set as default for new layout. So I'll just activate it so that the new master layout that I'm going to create will be the master for all the other sheets. So let me just go to the edit option. I think I went for A1, so I'm going for A3 here, and I want to put some text, so you can make use of the document tool by using the lines, arcs, polylines, recipe lines, and fills and images to set up your title block. So let me just go to one of them and steal the information from there. I'm just going to copy and come here and then paste it. We can go for center of the current view and then do a little bit of adjustment, something like this, and we have a title here. So let me just remove it, and however you want to change, you can do that. You are free to edit and create however you want it. You can also bring in a DWG file, so you could go for the merge option, interoperability merge, and bring in a CAD file. Otherwise, you can also go for the place external drawing, that is like the drag and drop, and after that you can explode it into the project and then start editing wherever you want the auto text option. So that's how we set it the master layer. Now I can remove this if I want to. So let me just keep one more A3 and A1 I'll keep it. Now I have two master layouts. I have, sorry, three master layouts. So A4 did not get deleted because it's already used. So A4, A1, and master layout 5. So we have three master layouts to use. Now I need to create a new layout. So I can do a right click or just come all the way down here. I can also use the subset option. So folders is called subset here, but however you want to name it, you can call it. So the subset, you can give it a name. Let's say I'm going to create a presentation drawings. So it's just a folder in which I'm going to create the drawing. So it's just going to be same as before. I'll show you two methods. One is a manual method and another one is automated method. So in the manual method, I do a right click, new layout. Let's say I'm going to name it as drawings. So there is a layout name. And I'm going to use the master layout file. So this is where you do the settings. You can also give a prefix and custom ID for your sheets if you want to. Otherwise, it will use the automatic system that is given for the settings. So you can see it already created a layout called A01.1 drawings, and it is using the title block. Don't worry about the red color. The red color is here only because it says that it is non-editable. If you want to edit something here, you have to go back to the master layout and edit it. Here it is a non-editable, non-selectable element. And it won't be printed in red. It will be printed exactly how it is here that has been used. Okay. Now, this was just creating it, but how do we change anything? So I could go for right-click layout settings and do certain changes. Let's say I want to use A1 landscape instead. So when I do that, you are going to see the A1 landscape template here. How do we put drawings? All you have to do is, like I mentioned in the presentation, you put it from the view map into the layout. So I'm going to put one level 0 architectural plan. So it's already here. And I'm also bringing section, so which we created here, X3. Let's say I want to just randomly put schedule as well, so you can do that also. Now, a couple of things, yeah, here it is. Because those two are of different scale, you can also change the scale by selecting and going to the settings here. So let's say I select this and go to the settings here. So I'm doing from the info box. You can also go to the detailed settings and change it. From here, probably I'll go for 1:100. Now you will see this is going to be scaled up to 1:100. If you're putting a schedule, same method. So I can just go for the component schedule, do a drag and drop. So this is one of the way where you can compose multiple sheets, change its scale, change its crop regions and everything. It will already come with a numbering for each of them and the name of the drawing and also the scale of it. So you can see this is 1:100, there is 1:200. This is also coming in 1:1 scale because it's a schedule. You can also change that as well. And if you look at the title block, you can see drawing name. Because we have given three different drawings, it is showing you all the names. And you can also see that the drawing scale 1:200, the first drawing, that is level 0. Then building section is 1:100 and the component schedule is 1:1. So you can compose it much better by looking at how the sheets are changing and make sure your title block is perfect and this is going to represent the same. But if you want something to be typed here, I would suggest don't give auto text in the master layout and manually do the typing in the layout itself. So it's up to you, how do you want to do it. Now that was the manual way of creating layouts. Now let's look at how to automate this process. Now we are going to shift from the navigator to something called organizer. So it's right here. I click on this button, go for show organizer. So it's as simple as a navigator, but only thing is it is two navigators next to each other. The only reason we are using organizer is to drag and drop certain things to automate the whole process. So this was the presentation folder. Now let's say I want to create all the architectural as different sheets. Don't select any layout, select one of the folders so that it will build under that. I'm not going to select individual drawings because I want to make multiple drawings together. So I click on the folder itself, that is architecture in the view map. Then you see a button here called place drawing. So when I do that, it will use the master layout, which we kept it as the default one. And if I open it, you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like the same as here. If I open one of them, let's say level 0, you will see that it is using the title block that is given as a default one. It is already placed the drawing inside. And if you want to adjust, it is the same as editing the slab or any of the tools that is there. And it's already coming with the title. It's already 1:200 scale, which is same as the view scale of that particular view map. What is the drawing name and whatever information that we want to add, it's already set. We go to level 1, that is also there, and you can see it's placed exactly in the same location. I don't need to move around it as well. If I want section, same, I'll go back to the main folder under which I want it. Let's look at structure. I just do a place drawing. It is already done. Now I do a section, place drawing. So you can see all these things are already arranged and organized into different folders. So this is how we create layout. So let me just go through whatever we have done so far. We started with project map, where we created ground floor, first floor, sections, elevations, so stories and sections and elevations, and even 3Ds. And in the view map, we made use of the existing project map elements. And by changing the layer combination, partial structure display, pen sets, and all these, including the dimensions, we created multiple view maps. Next thing, we set the master layouts for different sheets, the title blocks, you can call it, and created a layout and placed each of the drawings into the layouts. So one of the method was manually creating individual layouts. Another method that you see so right now was automating the whole process by using the place element option or place drawing option, where if you click on a folder, click on the place drawing option, automatically it creates multiple drawings for you. So go through the process. This is how we set up the layouts or the sheets. Now, any doubts so far? Anybody has any doubt? You can ask now, otherwise we will move to the publisher set option. Anyone, any doubt? Did you at least understand the process of creating a layout from modeling? Am I audible? All right, I'm assuming nobody has any doubt. So we move forward to the final part, that is the publisher set in the documentation. So with respect to publisher set, so that would be the last part here. So you can see that in the navigator. So one of the things that will be there by default is one of the publisher set will be open. So what you can do is you can click on this particular button to go back to the list of publisher set. There are two in the default template. So this is where you're going to again remove everything and start fresh for the first time when you're working. You can just select them and then delete. We will start from the fresh itself. So I'm going to work in the organizer instead of navigator because it's easy for me to do certain drag and drop. So it's not a necessity that you need to work in the navigator. It's just that in the initial stages, you might not be doing any of the drag and drop. That is why we use the navigator. Otherwise, if you're comfortable, if your screen is big, you can also make use of organizer instead of navigator. Anyway, we will keep the publisher set on the right side and view layouts on the left side. And all I'm going to do is here, you have this plus button that is to create a new publisher set. So in Archicad, let me just sketch and show it to you. There are three types in which you can create a publisher set. One is creating a single file. So the single file will have all the information, be it multiple PDF, or second option in that would be creating a BIMX file. So that is a one single file option. Second option that you have is creating a, sorry, yeah, creating all the drawings or whatever you are publishing into one single folder. So you will have a source folder in which you have multiple drawings placed into the same folder, but they will be different drawings, be it PDF, different PDF files or different image files or mixture of them or creating a DWG file. What you do is second option, you would go where everything is going to be placed into one single folder with the given name of the layout. Now, last option you are going to have is something interesting, that is creating a folder structure. That is like, let's say you have a project. So you might be following some folder structure in this office. Now, what you will do is maybe you may have a couple of subfolders like architectural drawing or structural drawings or however it is. So you can create the same folder structure here right in Archicad, and you can assign these drawings into those folders. So when I click publish, all the drawings will automatically placed into this folder. But the folder structure is very important. It will not just go to some random folders. Wherever you are creating the folder, under which these things will be placed into the organization, just like what is in Archicad. So these are the three options. So we will start with the very first one. So that is creating a single file. And I want to create a single PDF file. So let me just name it as single PDF. And I can click on it and go to the publishing properties. So these are the settings that you can edit it for the publisher set. So you can see there are a couple of things. One is to save file. You can also upload the BIMX file to the cloud or plot the elements or print the elements. So let me just go for only the save files. So these were the three options I told about: creating a single file, creating a real folder structure, or a flat file structure. So we'll go for the first one, that is single file. So when you select the single file, there are only two formats that are available. One is BIMX file and one is PDF. So this time we want to look for PDF. Now it will ask you for a name, so you can give it a name. And where do you want to export to? That is a path. So I'm going to place it properly to desktop. Give OK. Now that will set up the properties. Now I double click to go inside. Now I need to filter out what all elements I want to add. So one is the whole drawing itself. So all I do is I just click on probably the folder and use add shortcut. What it will do is whenever I create any layout under this folder, it will automatically be added. I could also just do a drag and drop, but when you do drag and drop, the automation is gone. So make sure this button is used exclusively. Now I want to also add the architectural drawing. So select the folder, add shortcut. So it will add all the drawings under the folder. Let's say this is the single PDF that I want. Now, if I want to publish it, so I could publish it from here or just go all the way here, open it in the navigator and click on publish button as well. Now you can see it started the publishing work. So remember the first option that we did is creating a single PDF. Now it is going to have all the PDFs that are given, but everything attached to a one single PDF. So this is one of the ways that you can do it. Now if I go to the desktop, you will see that one single PDF file. Now in which if I just zoom out, yeah, it's still loading for me. Heavy right now. You can see they're all published into one single PDF. So this was the first method that I went for. Now, second method is to create a single folder, but everything under that. Click on plus button, give it a name, single folder, and click on it, go to the publishing properties. So process is the same. I'll go for a flat file structure. I need to select a folder. So I'll create a new folder on desktop. So give it a name, new folder only, that's okay. Give OK, that is the settings. Now double click to go inside. Now what all drawing you want? I want to put this, this, and this as well. I do add shortcut. Now they're all here. Now, unlike the first option where we did a single PDF, Here you get to change the format also. Let's say this particular one, that is A01 drawing. Instead of publishing it as a PDF, I can change the format to DWG. So this is how I suggest you do the publishing. If you want to publish any files from Archicad, this is one of the best method where you can create a sheet, place the drawings that you want to do it, and then just change the format from here in the real folder structure or even in the other method also, no issues. Like this, let's say this one I want it in a different format like PNG or JPG, I can do that. Now, all I do is, this might take some time, so let me not waste the time. So PDF, and let's say this one I'll make it to DWG. And all I do is I go to the publisher set, that is single folder, and click on publish. It will do the publishing properties one by one, depending on the amount of information it consumes time, but usually it is quite fast. So you get to have a folder that is created. You can see it's already started. Now you can see there is already a folder here called new folder. If I open it, it is getting published one by one. So you have multiple drawings individually published. You have a JPG file. You also have a DWG file. So the second option that we looked at is using one single folder and publishing everything under that. So all that matters is the name of the file. So make sure you have the right name of the file. Next time when I do publish, click on publish button again, it is going to overwrite if the name is same. By any chance, if you don't want to do that, make sure your layout name is different or the folder itself is different. And finally, you have one more type, that is a real folder structure. So I'll name it as real folder structure, create. I'll go for the publishing property. So same method, we make sure that real folder structure is selected. So in the desktop, I'll go for a new folder altogether and give OK. That is set up the properties. I'll double click to go inside. So here only I'll do that. And I'm going to select all these folders, these three and sections, add shortcut. You can see they're already added here. And all of them are PDF. You can change the format just like the previous one, however you want it. So if this one I want it in DWG, I can do that as well. So yeah, here I do publish. Now you can see that is also started with some properties. And let me show you meanwhile. I'll open the folder. And this is the folder. So let me go to desktop. You can see new folder 2, in which we have 4 different folders. That is exactly same as what is there in the folder structure of the publisher set. And in which, again, organized and arranged. So this was one folder, sorry, one drawing. This has 4 drawings here, 4 or 5. And structural drawing, we have one DWG and other PDFs. And then you can also see the sections here. So these are the 3 different methods that you can go with. One is to create a single PDF publishing. Another one is to go for a flat folder structure, where in one folder you have everything. And then the last one is to create a real folder structure where everything will be organized into folders, just like how you make it in the publisher set. So these are the 3 types. Now we are going to look for the single PDF, single file option, but we are going to publish BIMX instead. So before I publish to BIMX, I want to know if anybody has any doubt, please do ask. Otherwise, we will move ahead. Okay, we'll go to the last part, that is creating a BIMX. I'm sure some of you are already aware of what BIMX is. If not, by publishing this, the output of it is going to showcase it to you what exactly BIMX is. So BIMX is actually a 3D based file where you have all the 2D drawings and also 3Ds located. So it's a hyperlinked kind of a file. So you can open that particular file on your mobile phone or tablet or even your computer, any mobile device you can have it, Android or Apple or even Windows as well. So I'm going to create a new publisher set. So this is also a publisher set itself. So click on the new button and I'm going to name it as BIMX. You can give a proper name with the project file names and everything. I open it, or before opening it, make sure publishing properties are correct. So BIMX is a single file, and here you can make sure instead of PDF, it is BIMX FIFO model. Info set is all about what information you want to share. So you can create a schedule and connect to that. Otherwise, just go for classification properties. That also will do the job. You can give it a name and you can locate a path, and that is going to be desktop here. And you can also use architect's credit. So if I just activate this, you can give it a name and you can give it a URL if I want to, and also you can add a logo. So if your office has a specific logo, make sure you have it in the BIMX. So whenever you open the file, it will pop up. So you can make use of this option, and also project overview. So this is mainly looking at some view of the project altogether. You can have that. So I'll not go through them, just give OK so that the settings are done. I'll just open the organizer. So I need to do some kind of drag and drop here. So one thing that we usually use a lot BIMX for is the 3D and 2Ds or the drawings. So into BIMX, make sure you are selecting all the 2Ds from the layout itself. Don't add anything from, don't add any drawings from the view map. This is something that you have to keep it in mind. If you make a mistake, your output also will be like that. So make sure you go to layout, select the drawings that you need to have it. You can do art shortcut, and that is going to be all the drawings in the project. They are all layouts, but only for a 3D, you have to go to the view map and attach the 3D views. So I'm just going to do that. So remember this, don't make a mistake. 3D should be from the view map, and all the 2D related information should be directly from the layout book itself. Now, this concludes our setup for the BIMX, and all we have to do is just